The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 13, Waiver Wire, Pickup, Power Rankings. We're going to go over the best streams for the playoffs. So you want to get yourself ahead of that, and you still are in the playoffs, although I don't know what you would be doing watching a Waiver Wire show if you weren't going to be in the playoffs. I think you'd pack it in, unless you just really enjoy the Pat Mayo Experience, which if you do, hit the like button for the episode. That always goes a long way to help keeping the show free. Or if you really want to help out, go to iTunes. Go to wherever the hell you download podcasts on Android and download and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience. We're in the race to get to 10 million listens and downloads for the year. Leave a review while you're there too, because that also, like smashing the like button, goes a long way to helping. I got some winners from last week's draw. Actually, Chris Meaney's here. Did you, I know you do stuff on Sunday mornings, so you probably didn't see the show, but we gave a live giveaway on the Sunday morning show.
Nice.
Where you had to call Tim a fucking coward. A lot of people did.
I was going to say, how many people were intrigued with that?
I think we got a good, 45 to 50 people just tweeting at Tim during the live show. I forget who it was. I think it was Andy Dalton. It was like, do you play Dalton or do you play Kirk Cousins? I was like, it's clearly Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
And he's like, no, it's Andy Dalton. It's not close. Like, if you think that's not close, make a bet with me.
Oh.
And he's like, no, I don't want to make a bet. I was like, well, you said it's not close. Then why aren't you going to make the bet? He's like, I can't make it. I was like, you just
Coward-like.
Just pure cowardice.
Yeah, and turned out to be...
I did offer him a $100 head-to-head on DraftKings too, where I had to play Josh McCown. That was the ready. He wouldn't take that either. And
wow.
And we played our friendly 13-man contest. Cuss won again, 2 in a row. He's the only person I know who had McCaffrey and Juju in a lineup.
Unbelievable. And McCaffrey was just, he was so awesome. If you had him, you were well on your way. What do you have, over 50 DK points yesterday? Through the air and on the ground, just...
He got the double-double.
Yeah. He's been unbelievable since, we fielded questions from people about frustrations for McCaffrey. Like, what are you guys worried about? Ever since, I think, week 7, he's just been...
Amazing.
Amazing.
And he has the best playoff running back schedule. So if you have Christian McCaffrey, you probably won yesterday.
You probably won, and you're on your way.
And you're probably going to be winning in the playoffs as well. Yeah. So the winners for week 12, for all of the giveaways, we got Bad Draft 16, Fancy Jaguar. It's a good name. I feel like that guy's won before.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
Fancy Jaguar. J Sol 32, Chaz Michaels, Lisa H22, Luck of the 12, and Evolve Sub are the giveaway winners for week 12. The money will show up in your account in between 1 and 365 days. 20 DK dollars. If you want to get into the draw for 20 DK dollars this week, hit the like button, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, not the live chat, in the comment section. And what? Tell me your favorite playoff defense that you can go pick up right now.
I think it's Denver.
Denver, Detroit. That's not Denver. How about that? Because Denver's very clearly number one, and then there's the rest.
Detroit's pretty solid.
Detroit's not bad. We'll get to that a little bit later on. I got a list. I mean, it's actually in my column. If you go to the cheat sheet, that's in the comment section. It's in the pinned tweet or the pinned comment to this video. You can find that right now.
Denver held their own yesterday against the Steelers too, for the most part. They had a couple turnovers, but it does get better for them.
We'll take the viewer questions at the end of the episode because we need to hit all the positions. We need to recap all the injuries, all the games, and talk about some early spreads, maybe some showdown. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the Steelers pissed me off yesterday, man.
You were on them.
I had them -3. And how many times? How can you throw for almost 500 yards and score 17 points?
Right.
You throw a pick from the 1. You fumble on the 1-yard line.
Connor, I don't know if he looks tired or not. And maybe that's...
Do you worry about him?
Slightly, a little bit, because it's 3 straight games now where I think it's 13 or fewer carries. At one point in the season, maybe even just a couple weeks ago, Pat, this guy was up near the top in touches and carries. He was, we were talking about his usage being the exact same as what Le'Veon Bell. 400 touches last year. And this is a guy, and Connor is basically his first year in the NFL. What he did in week 1 this season topped of what he did in his rookie season altogether. So now we're thinking about a guy who's, maybe it's kind of catched up to him a little bit. Maybe they decide to, just lighten the workload slightly.
It's not even that the workload is getting lightened. He still played 86% of the snaps.
A lot of the snaps.
And Jalen Samuel only played 5% of the snaps. They went empty backfield for a few snaps, which was strange. But they're not like, it's not like, hey, James Conner, you're definitely getting the ball 30 times today. That's seemingly out the window.
Yeah.
But it's in the games that they don't play well when they don't give Conner the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And over those past couple weeks, for sure. I mean, he had the couple bad drops against the Jaguars yesterday, or 2 weeks ago, and then that fumble. He's just trying to make things happen, and he fumbles that football. I guess that's a learning mistake from him, to tuck that thing away. But I got the push because I teased and I had the 7, but at that point, my odds obviously got lower because of that, but. Like I was thinking, all right, Pittsburgh's going to tie this game up, and maybe they'll win by a field goal. Because I was with you, I felt pretty confident about the Steelers just winning that football game.
Yeah.
And
So
now we're thinking about Denver. Their schedule is very, very soft over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, who did they play this week? That was the one I looked at 14, 15, 16 instead of looking at 13. They have an easy one this week. They're at Cincinnati this week, at San Francisco, at home against Cleveland, at Oakland. Cleveland's a tough matchup. As now you're rocking the Baker tee.
I woke up feeling a little dangerous. Hey, Baker. I mean, Cleveland's been pretty impressive. I just have a couple things. What they've been able to accomplish this season. So they had a 17-game losing streak that they snapped, a 19-game winless streak that they snapped, 18-game AFC North winless streak that they snapped, a 36-game losing streak on Sundays, unbelievable, that they snapped, a 25-game road losing streak, and then 64 games without back-to-back W's. So Cleveland Nation has to be pretty happy. And you picked up Baker in legal leagues, and buddy, well on his way. And that Bengals defense, I know you're going to talk about quarterback streams. We're talking about Denver going and beating the Bengals.
They're the team to go. Well, Case Keenum is actually one of the quarterbacks who has a pretty juicy playoff schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the teams that we just, from this week through week 16.
Yeah, so
Cleveland's the only kind of tough one, and that's neutral.
And it's neutral. They've given up a lot of yards, and you saw yesterday late
Jeff
in the
Driscoll
game
being like, yeah, here we go.
He finishes like a top 15 quarterback and hardly plays in that football game. So yeah, I mean the Bengals have been just so bad defensively against the run, against the pass. They're the team to pick on every single week, and it just doesn't seem to get any better. And at this point, you wonder if they're just checked out. You bring in Hugh Jackson. That was awesome. That troll last night. I mean, Buddy could have brought that to the house. Instead, he just hands it off to Hugh Jackson.
Do you think he just got confused? Do you think it was supposed to be a troll? Or he's like, oh yeah, there's Hugh.
He may have got a little confused. Hugh looked a little confused too. Like took the ball and tapped him on the shoulder.
In fairness to Hugh, he always looks confused.
Yeah.
Bengals atrocious since acquiring Hugh Jackson.
Absolutely. The defense, nobody's given up more passing yards, more yards in general, and rushing yards. It's awful. And I think quarterbacks, 3 of the last 4 have thrown at least 3 touchdowns. So Case Keenum is definitely available, and it's a great spot for him.
So we have this problem in our league where everything is breaking right for us that I feel like everything's going to go horribly wrong. We just traded Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
Kept Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
To get Devontae. Adams has been great.
Adams is awesome. Adams is
touchdown every week.
Every week. And nobody else in that offense is really, from a wide receiver standpoint, where have they been?
But we picked up Mayfield and benched Dak.
Yep.
And Dak and Mayfield both had great games. But I tried to drop Dak, and our waivers didn't go through. So now we have Dak. And I forgot he has an awesome playoff schedule too.
Yeah, he does.
That's who we're going to be using.
Yeah, we'll use Dak. I mean, that offense is rolling right now. Again, we talked about this on Thursday, Thanksgiving. Amari Cooper, just the addition of him and has
really
opened things up for Zeke.
up.
Absolutely, it has. It's given Dak a deep threat. He's explosive after the catch. We saw that last week. And just Zeke. Zeke is Zeke. He's great anyways, but 3 straight games now, over 100 yards, catching balls out of the backfield. Probably seeing less guys in the box.
Maybe. It's going to be a tougher matchup for him this week against New Orleans just because there's the chance that they're down by 21 super quickly. But great for Dak.
And great for Cooper, who's probably going to get a bunch of targets as well.
Dak has rushing touchdowns in 3 straight, 5 of 6.
And that one that he had last week was one of the best I've seen. It was phenomenal. Extended the play.
Well, it's kind of hurting from Elliott's overall upside because it's not just Dak's dropping back to pass. He's like, oh, there's a lane, I'll run. These are design plays for him to get in.
Right. And when we were watching that game, there was a play, I think they were on the 5, and they didn't even use Zeke once. It's I think, that wasn't the play where Dak ran it in.
I feel that's too tricky.
Right. But that's the thing. If he was on any other team where it wasn't a mobile quarterback, put him in there with Tom Brady, for example. I mean, you're handing it off every single time. So, yeah, I agree. Maybe a little bit of slight downgrade. But what I've noticed is, career high in targets and catches. He's getting some balls into the backfield, which is a plus.
So the over hits again in the Carolina home game. That's the bet to keep going to. So I had 3 really devastating. I actually had a good day betting because I kept picking. I had Baltimore as my super lock.
Yep.
I was big on Tampa Bay, and I wasn't huge on Carolina. I just parlayed them all together. So obviously the parlay lost. Mm-hmm. The 2 bigger bets were on the other 2 and the over in that Carolina game. But Carolina should have won that game.
Yeah, they can't close. It's been weeks now.
But like for the first half, like I think Cam went perfect through the first half. I think he was 12 of 12. They kept getting in the red zone and doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
Like he threw a pick in the red zone. They got stuffed at like the 2-yard line. Although it really looked like he got it.
Yeah.
It was like in that San Francisco game when Brado was in. It was like, what are you doing? Then they challenged the Mullins one when he clearly wasn't.
I know. This is ludicrous. I remember seeing that as well. So now, but this is what, 3 straight weeks now with Carolina? I mean, they have that big comeback against the Eagles. They scored 21 points in the fourth, and then they beat Baltimore, and you think that they're going. They get smashed by the Steelers. 2 weeks ago, they lose near the end and going for it against Detroit.
Yeah.
And then last week, not just their offense, Gano again. I mean, that's an example of why they went for it, because this guy can't kick a field goal right now.
But what do? They settle for a 50-something yard field goal to quote win the game with like a minute something left. And Russell Wilson's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
just go. It's 4th and 4. Go for it.
Yeah,
or punt it.
Right. So they're not, it seems like it's back and forth with them. Like 2 weeks ago, okay, we're fine with giving Detroit the ball and relying on our defense. And then, again this past week, keep the ball. It's like Aaron Rodgers. We talked about that 2 weeks ago with 3 minutes left against Seattle. What are you going to do? Your defense has been awful. Go for it on 4th and 3rd, because your defense is not going to be able to get you the ball back. And Seattle was able to run that clock and win that game. And then yesterday, there's no reason. Like, Carolina gives up huge plays near the end of that game and then blows it. Now, like, they're a borderline playoff team now.
Yeah.
Because Seattle is right there in the thick of things. Now I'm pretty sure they hold the tiebreaker against them. Don't they have the same record now?
Yeah, no. I think, are they 6-5?
I think they are, because they were 5-5 after that 1 week. So I'm just...
Oh, yeah, they're both 6-5. And Seattle's schedule, they have San Francisco twice and they have Arizona left.
Yeah, they've already got those games against the Rams out of the way.
Yeah, so they have basically 3. I mean, division games are always tough. I'm not going to call it 3 free wins, but they get up to, let's say they get up to 9 wins here over the final few weeks.
They're in.
9 seems like it's going to be good. Minnesota's making the charge now, too.
Yeah, the Vikings.
Minnesota's ahead of these teams because they're 6-4-1.
Yeah. So I expect the Vikings to get in, and then it'll be a fight for, that final spot between Seattle, Carolina. I don't expect Washington or Philly or Green Bay for that matter. So
well, strangely, Philly still controls their own destiny.
They do, because
they need the Saints to beat the Cowboys, and then they need to beat the Skins. Then all of a sudden, they're winning the division.
Yeah, I know. 2 games left against Washington, a game against Dallas. I'm still not sold. I mean, if you watch that game yesterday, I don't understand.
How did the Giants not win?
So they've tanked, I guess, the correct way, because if you watch that game, they had their way the entire first half. It was all Barkley. Barkley ate him up in the first game of the season. Hit over almost 300 yards against them in the first game of the season. And then yesterday, in the first half, dominant. And then he hardly touches the football in the second half. I think he touched it 4 times. 4. Are you kidding me?
Now, are they actively trying to lose, or are they just stupid?
I think it's a little bit of both. I kind of want to give them the credit that they're actively trying to lose,
the right way?
Because that was, I mean, it's a no-brainer. What are you getting away from Barkley? There was a play where Eli could have checked it down to Barkley, would have taken it to the house near the end of that game. I think that's on him being stupid and not seeing the play, but there's no reason to get away from him in that game. And you know what? That was a team, if they won that game,
they were kind of in it.
People are talking about it, at least like they would have beaten up on 3 garbage defenses, but hanging around in a real bad division. But I think that's Dallas's division now. Their defense looks good. They're in total control of
but doesn't Dallas do this, though? Doesn't Dallas just, hey, Dallas is looking great. Then all of a sudden they're like, what happened to Dallas?
Yeah, they won that game.
This is a good, like, do you think they can give the Saints a run here on Thursday night?
I don't think it'll be like a 30-point, 20-point blowout. I think they play it enough with that slope.
It's a 7-point spread.
I would take the Saints there to win by 7 or 10 points.
I think I would too. I think I'd take them to win by like.
They just can't be stopped right now.
And the defense is looking so good.
The defense is looking a lot better over the past couple weeks. And Drew Brees, what he did in that Thanksgiving game, I mean, he didn't use any of his weapons at all. He's pulling guys off the street, undrafted guys. Kirkwood, Carr,
Dan Arnold,
and there was a 4th, Tommy Lee.
Oh, Tommy Lee Lewis.
Like, kidding me? All of those guys find the end zone, and Drew Brees just does it with ease. Guy's legit on his way to MVP.
The biggest crappy thing that happened to me, because I had money on the Patriots Jets over and the Jets plus 12.
Oh, yeah.
So,
get away from
4th and 2 on like, they're not really doing anything. Like a touchdown really does them no good. They're still going to lose the game anyway. But a touchdown covers the points and hits the over. In Jermaine Kearse's hands. My guy, Jermaine Kearse.
Kearse showed up for
in
us.
And out of his hands. Yeah. Just like, oh, man. And I had Josh McCown as my quarterback. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
No good.
You're on, the right path. It was close.
If he
should
catches,
have had
if
that.
he catches that touchdown, Josh McCown, I think, finishes with 21 DK points at $4,300. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah,
I think you would have beat Lamar Jackson.
Exactly. That's fine. I mean, that's why I mentioned Rosen a couple weeks ago. Like, get to that 20-point mark. Chase Daniel did it at that price on Thursday. Get to that 20-point mark at under 5K.
It was almost 4K.
So much. Yeah.
And against the Pats D, I thought it was worth the shot. But then I remembered Josh McCown.
Josh
McCown.
McCown
Like Robbie
and the
Anderson had 2
Jets.
horrible drops in that game.
Yeah, he could have helped him out a little bit better. McCown's day, like you said, could have been a lot better than what it was without those couple drops.
Anything else from the game? Big on the Bills?
Yeah, no.
Jags fired their OC.
Jags fired their OC. What a pitiful year from Jacksonville. Ramsey beats his mouth off all off season, says Allen sucks, and Allen lights him up. And
now listen, I don't think Allen really lit them up.
well, he lit him up on one huge play.
One huge play.
Well, I'm talking crap. I mean, if he sucks that much, he's a guy who threw for under 200 yards in 3 of his 5 football games this season.
Well, we've seen this. Jacksonville has struggled against teams that legit have no receivers. No one knows who to cover.
Yeah, it's unreal. This team has really taken a step back. It's too bad. I mean, losing Leonard Fournette basically all season kills you, and then that's why they lost that football
Is he
game
going to get
yesterday.
suspended?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I feel like that's on the table.
Yeah, it's probably going to be. Yeah, it's going to be looked at pretty closely. I mean, they kick him out of that game yesterday. They have the ball in the 1. That was the ultimate turning point. I mean, I had a lot of Fournette.
It was a touchdown.
And
then it goes to the 1. Then they take enough penalties to go back to the
and then
26.
Bortles is in the 30 before you know it.
And then they missed field goal.
Yeah, and then they missed a field goal. So that was completely the turning point. Leonard Fournette has been a beast since he's returned. I think, owners, if they got by,
They're
if
doing
they
great.
managed to get by.
We did.
Yeah, you're fine now the rest of the way. It's just a guy who's going to just touch the ball so many times. But, yeah, this offense it's brutal. And I wonder, Marone or Bortles? You got to choose one.
Choose Marone. Just to not choose Bortles.
Right.
That's the way to go. Poor Nathaniel
agree.
Hackett. He brought him like this was a revenge game for the both of them.
Yeah, no kidding. I forgot about that. He gone.
Yeah, he gone.
You can't lose in Buffalo, man. It's a tough place to play. The defense has been really
and the
good
Bills
this
D is
season.
really good. It was funny, like, did it end up hitting? What was the final score? 24-21? So the over did hit.
Just hit.
For a while, it was 14-14, like, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at, like, in the end of the third quarter, I was like, this over's not going to hit.
There's twice now I felt pretty confident about unders with the Bills games, and they've gone over. There was one in Minnesota. It was like a 40-something, and I was like, Bills are going to score like 10 points. Somebody had like a 24-10 game, and it was over in a hurry.
I think that took the Minnesota touchdown, like garbage touchdown at the end to push the number over.
It. Yeah, it was looking like it was going to get there. Yeah, so, I mean, good on the Bills. Get a little bit of revenge from the playoff spot, whatever. But Jacksonville is a complete mess. This is a team that I thought could go to the Super Bowl at the start of the season. I thought their defense was good enough.
I cashed my under on Jags wins this year.
Good for you.
It was 9.
Solid.
Under.
I'm on the under in Philly too, which was 10.5.
Yeah.
I'll get that.
My Ravens one is looking better now.
Yeah.
I have Ravens over 8.5. They've looked better.
A lot of talk if they should go back to Flacco, but I don't think there's any reason to. They won 2 straight games. I know Lamar Jackson's
Lamar
made a
Jackson does
struggle.
not
He
look
doesn't
good,
look good, and his throws are bad. He underthrew Crabtree on one play. It was a good defensive play. It ended up being a pick. It got deflected in the air, but he underthrew Crabtree. He had him.
He underthrew John Brown like 4 times.
And what,
It was
Brown
wide
again?
open.
1 catch? Did he only have 1 catch again?
He did.
More
but
targets. More usage, I think.
He had like a 60-yard catch called back.
Yeah.
So it was more. I mean, I'm not high on the Ravens passing options,
Right.
but I'm more high than I was a week ago seeing Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. He threw the ball a little bit more, and he's going to have to. I believe he has Kansas City coming up on the schedule.
Yes, he does.
That's the game plan Baltimore wants to have, and it was before Lamar Jackson or Gus Edwards even came in. This is a team that wants to rely on their defense, run the football, kick field goals.
Well, they can run the football far more effectively now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a path to beating Kansas City, that you just run the ball 60 times and just like the Gus Bus.
Yeah.
He is very good at stopping at the first down marker on every single run. It's like 9.5 yards, 10.5 yards. He's right around the yellow line every single
The
run.
bus runs out of gas right on the yellow line.
There's only 2 stops. It's like
Yeah.
an express. He stops at the first down marker in the end zone. That's it. Although we got Lamar yesterday.
Yeah, he did. But you know what? Another positive game from him, if people were unsure.
Yeah.
23 carries, the most on the team. Again, finishing near the top in touches for the week. And that was a good matchup. And the matchups, in terms of running, it's good. They're good the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's talk running backs then. The injuries at running back. The big one, obviously, Melvin Gordon expected to miss a few weeks. It's not the same knee that he hurt Like coming into he talked himself into playing in this
I
game.
know.
And then they left him in for ages. But he hurt the other knee. So
Yeah.
it's not like he injured that one because it was hurt coming in. But anyway, he'll be back at some point. But if they start cruising and they lock in the 5 seed, we may not see him back in the regular season. Because why would you?
Yeah, I'd actually be surprised if we do. I think he'll, maybe they want to get him a couple touches in week 16, 17. But at that point, like you said, if they're locked in, there's really no point. There is no point of even having him play in that football game yesterday. I thought they did the smartest thing earlier on in the season by not playing him in London, having that bye week. I think that was a hamstring issue, and now he's got the knee. It's tough, man. Owners are going to have to find a new replacement. Obviously, Eckler.
But he's probably gone.
But Eckler wasn't even. He's probably gone, and he was great yesterday.
Well, put it this way: Eckler was on when I went and go check the ownership to see if he qualified for the list, because anything 60% or below on ESPN, he was on the most dropped list from last week.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there's a chance he just got dropped last week, and he is out there.
Okay. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, people are probably kicking themselves. You don't want to be dropping guys that are going to be
I did that with Nick
borderline
Chubb
RB
earlier this
ones. Yeah.
The week before Hyde got traded, I dropped Chubb.
That's tough too because he was only touching the ball 3 times, and then
in
now
space.
he's
5 weeks came in. I was like, well, I can keep this guy who doesn't do anything. Or
Yeah, he's a for sure RB1, and next year I think he'll be drafted that way as well.
he should be. Standard leagues, he's probably a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And PPR, he's getting more involved. He had another receiving touchdown yesterday.
Another receiving touchdown. Showed great hands on that catch. That was a terrific catch. He's awesome, by the way. He's great.
So Kenyon Drake hurt his shoulder. He left the game, then came back for the final drive. So he should be okay. Marlon Mack suffered a concussion. If he clears protocol, he'll be good for week 13. If not, it'll be Hines and Jordan Wilkins. Kerryon Johnson, Chris Thompson, Alex Collins, Ronald Jones, and Darren Sproles all missed the game. Who knows when any of them. I thought Ronald Jones was for sure going to play after practicing all week, but it's not how it turned out.
Yeah, and Barber was okay again last week.
Yeah, Barber played an unusually
49%.
Yeah, they were playing Jaquiz Rogers a ton.
He caught a few balls. That's 2 out of the last 3 weeks now. He's been involved in the offense catching balls.
Barber with Jameis still got his touchdown, though.
Yeah.
Every single game.
And Brait
Yeah, Break got there.
didn't do a whole lot, but got his touchdown.
So the rankings, waiver wire pickup rankings, it's a tough one because when you use like ESPN ownership to do this, you take whatever the percentages are. Like number 1 and 2, I have Austin Eckler and Gus Edwards. Those guys got to be picked up in any real.
In NFL.com, they're probably like 12%.
Oh, yeah. On CBS, they're 99%. On NFL.com, they're like 0.5%. Yeah. But there's a legitimate chance Eckler could be available because he had been underperforming for so long that maybe someone dropped him.
Yeah.
If they weren't the Melvin Gordon owner in their league, they may have dropped him.
Yeah, and in a 10-team league, I'd say he's probably out there. And, he had that underperforming performance against the Titans.
Yeah.
Right? In London, where he was the only guy there. He wasn't good in that game.
Would you put him over Gus Edwards?
No, I
Really?
wouldn't.
You would have Gus ahead of him?
I would because, I wonder how much they're going to run the ball. And, Justin Jackson is going to get a few carries. I don't think he's fantastic, but what did he have, 8 carries yesterday?
Yeah, but I think that was up because they were up by so much.
Sure, but, I still think I don't think Eckler is that guy who can, he's very much like James White as a guy they don't want to give 10 to 15 carries to. They're giving those to Gus.
But if you he is getting the carries, but I mean, these are PPR rankings. I just see, if you condense Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler's market share of the receiving game into Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at a guy who's going to average like 10 targets a game.
Right. The targets are there. You got to think about red zone too. Like this was, Melvin Gordon was obviously leading the way in red zone, touches, but targets too. He's leading his team in red zone targets. So you wonder if maybe Eckler gets a few more catches out of the backfield. Maybe Gates gets a couple more targets. Maybe even Williams, Mike Williams gets some. But in that game, even though he wasn't good against the Titans, he basically played every single snap. So that's a huge takeaway.
Yeah, he played 84% of the snaps in that game. If you go down, like I have all the handcuffs there. So like Eckler and Edwards are like spend all your fab money guys.
Yeah, just get them.
Yeah, just get them.
Yeah.
The other ones like Spencer Ware, Gio Bernard, Malcolm Brown, Chase Edmonds, Ito Smith, all the handcuffs you need to go pick up.
Yeah, I think Brown is. I think Gordon's fine, but he was dealing with an ankle injury in that last game. Gurley, sorry, yeah.
The only reason I have Gio above Malcolm Brown is solely because if Gurley gets hurt, I'm not sure if it's 100% Malcolm Brown. John Kelly might come in to split it up a little bit, where we've seen if Mixon's out, it's all Gio.
Yeah, it's all Gio. And Gio, yeah, we already saw that this year and last year.
Yeah.
Gio's like a borderline RB1 when there's no Mixon.
And Latavius Murray's on that list too. I just have him at number 9.
Yeah, Latavius Murray he's a great handcuff. He probably won people weeks if you handcuffed him earlier in the year.
If we don't know about Marlon Mack, would you go Hines or Wilkins? because somehow Hines had a whole bunch of carries and Wilkins had a whole bunch of catches, which is the exact opposite of what they normally do.
Right, I know. Earlier in the year it was all Wilkins and Hines had those. I think I would go Hines.
I think I would go Hines as well.
Yeah, I think there's more upside with him. He's done more this season when given the opportunity. Wilkins, had an opportunity earlier on in the year and didn't do anything with it. So I would lean Hines. You got down here. Wilkins only played 12% of the snaps. Hines 38%. I think that's the writing on the wall.
And Indy's at Jacksonville this week.
Yeah, it's not the best matchup, but I think that's a matchup for Hines to catch a few balls with the back.
Jacksonville can win that game and just really throw everything into shambles.
I'm done going back. I go back to them every damn week.
You got to use the AFC South flow chart.
Yeah.
Tennessee always beats Jacksonville.
You're right.
Indy always beats Tennessee, and Jacksonville always beats Indy.
Yeah, and they should have beat them earlier in the year if not for that Shane Green fumble towards the end. That was a game that they should have had. So. I mean, that is a division that I just cannot. You're right about the flow chart. It's a thing.
Well, what happens?
guys can't
What
figure it
happens when
out.
Tennessee beats Houston tonight?
Yeah, and when that opened up at 6.5 favorites for Houston, I jumped all over Tennessee. I know that it opened up that way because they weren't sure if Marcus Mariota was going to start or not. But these are division rivals, solid defenses. I expect it to be a tight game today.
Yeah, like if Houston loses to Tennessee, Houston's 7-4, Indy's 6-5, Tennessee's 6-5. That's wide open.
It's wide open.
And the Colts play
and
the
they
Texans
play
again.
each other down the stretch. Yeah, I mean, Luck has never lost to Tennessee. We had this conversation last week. Tennessee can go and beat New England and have their way, but I would never give them the benefit of the doubt to go in and beat New England ever. The Colts.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they were frisky earlier this year, and the Colts are a lot better now than they were in week 3.
Yeah, the offensive line is solid. I think Luck actually took a couple sacks for the first time in a while.
No,
because
poor guy.
Because Ryan Kelly was sidelined. But yeah, I've been impressed with the Colts. They squeaked that one out yesterday.
So the only other feasible pickups, maybe Carlos Hyde if this Fournette thing happens.
Yeah,
then you get him.
Yeah, that's a good call. And in PPR formats, the same thing. TJ Yeldon. I think Jackson should be picked up in deeper 10 teams, 12 teams, whatever. You're looking at depth.
Okay. So there's probably 3 guys you could go pick up because Richard's probably owned, Hyde's probably owned, Gore's probably owned in deeper leagues. You could have your choice probably between Wilkins, Jackson, and Jeff Wilson, who all of a sudden plays running back snaps for the 49ers, who I've never heard of before.
Yeah, I'm not getting in on that. I'm not getting on that backfield. We'll have to have a rant about the 49ers. 49ers backfield would go over, nicely.
I'll steal Barry and Fabiano's bit and be like, Jeff Wilson screwed me.
I just stay clear of these garbage backfields, but Breida's been nice. I'm interested a little bit in Jackson, man. I'm intrigued. It's not a matchup this week.
Would you pick up Jackson or Wilkins?
I would pick up Jackson.
Really?
Yeah, knowing that Gordon is probably done for the next 4 weeks.
There's a chance I think he for sure misses this week against Pittsburgh, but he could be back week 14.
He could be, but what's the point?
I don't know, because what was the point of him playing yesterday?
Yeah, that's a good call. Pittsburgh this week is an Eckler game. That feels like an Eckler game. But then you go ahead and, they actually play Kansas City a little bit later on, too.
Which also
Cincinnati. That could be a Jackson game.
Cincinnati, Kansas City, Baltimore.
So Kansas City, you're thinking about Eckler again, more catches.
I would think
you're
Baltimore
down behind.
too,
Baltimore is
pass catching
tough to run on. So Jackson maybe only has one. Maybe Jackson is just a spec ad if Gordon doesn't play next week. I would like him against the Bengals. It's a garbage team. It can't stop anybody.
Yeah, and maybe you luck into maybe Eckler gets hurt. Maybe all of a sudden they want to turn it over to Jackson. Who knows? Yeah. But he's the guy who would be available if anyone is. Yeah. You can't. When I unleash my rankings this week, he's not going to be super high.
Right. No, he's going to be near the bottom. It's a spec ad. And you're probably fine anyways. This is just an option for if you're a Gordon owner, basically. If you're heading into the playoffs, you're fine. You're not picking up Jackson and starting him.
Yeah. Should I take my L on Josh Adams now? Or should I wait? Yeah. Will he ever see in the realm of 22 carries in a game again?
That's the second most carries Doug Peterson's ever given any back in Philadelphia. Ryan Matthews, a couple of years back, he got 23 carries, I think.
Well, it's funny because he Lamar Millered it.
He did.
You increased his carries, and he just got a lot worse as the game went on.
He did. He runs hard. He had that touchdown called back early. It was a weak hold. I think he could have had a better day, but Clement was still slightly involved. He had a big run as well.
Adams hurt his shoulder.
Then he
came back.
It was more so about the matchup. That was a really good matchup against the Giants. We talked about that on Thursday ever since they traded Snacks to Detroit. Detroit's run defense has been better, and New York's hasn't. It's been 4 straight weeks now, almost over 400 yards, I believe. AP, Breida, Barber, Adams. But those guys, in my mind, have taken the back seat. I think Adams is the guy there. He's definitely the goal line back. He runs hard. He runs physical. The offense still sucks, though.
Yeah, it's weird. They throw to Golden Tate too much, who drops. I've watched Golden Tate for a very long time. I'm a big fan of Golden Tate.
Yeah.
He has like the best hands ever. And I think I've seen him drop like 5 passes since he's been in Philly.
Yeah, he has. He almost dropped a punt return, too, that he muffed, but I don't know what it is and why it's going to new teams halfway through the year. Maybe it's
Cooper's fine, apparently.
Yeah, Cooper is fine. That's a good call. DT's not. Let's see if he can do something tonight. But yeah, I mean, it's very underwhelming. I mean, they went for it. They traded a 3rd-round pick for him. He's still not involved enough in the offense at all. A lot of his work has come late in games. Even yesterday, again, final drive, I think. A couple catches, couple targets.
He's crippled Alshon.
Yeah.
Alshon doesn't do anything anymore.
Alshon doesn't do anything. Obviously, Aguilar is nothing now.
He got that big 4th down.
He did. Wide open.
He
But
was way like, hey, they don't throw to this idiot. Leave him open.
Ertz is still fine, but the offense is it's just not good, man. Like last year, they scored 30 points every single week. I think they've done it once this year.
I think it was against the Giants the first time around.
Yeah, so it's very underwhelming. But Adams is, you can start him. He's a borderline RB2.
No, you can
Yeah.
start him. I just feel like an idiot.
Yeah, well.
So I'm hoping it goes back the other way and he sucks.
I mean, it could, but I think he's the best back that they have. He just runs so hard, man. And that's the thing with, like, you put in a little Smallwood and a little Clement and Sproles early on in the year. These guys are not getting. There was a play earlier in the year. It was like they went for it on 4th and 2, and Clement had like a loss of 3. It's like Adams runs guys over, and so did Blunt last year.
Wide receivers, the injuries: Marvin Jones, AJ Green, Randall Cobb, Devin Funches, Jamison Crowder, Chad Williams, all missed week 12. So did DJ Chark, Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin. Sammy Watkins was dealing with that foot injury. He should be okay coming off the bye, and Tywan Taylor is expected to miss tonight. The only real wide receiver injury in game that I could find was Equinemius St. Brown hurt his elbow. So that leads us to the pickup power rankings. I guess I still have Kiki at number 1.
Sure.
I had Kiki last week at number 1. I'm going to keep Kiki at number 1. I had DJ Moore at number 2. Hump Daddy, number 3.
He's been very
He
consistent.
really has been.
Yeah.
That's funny. Hump Daddy. Plays him every week.
Really?
And he's good every week.
So I took him out of my lineup yesterday in that contest you were talking about at the start, $4,000. But he's been so consistent. I mean, the quarterbacks are coming in all the time, but the consistency has been with Humphreys. He has been so solid, man. Not blowing anybody away, but getting his 4 to 5 catches and 40 to 50 yards. And I think he's found the end zone now 4 times in the last 5 games. I mean, the defense still sucks. It's arguably the best offense in football. It is. I mean, they're first in yards per game, passing yards per game. The run game has surfaced a little bit lately.
They just don't even bother to run.
Yeah, they don't
Screw
really
running.
bother. Yeah,
Except for when Jameis is in, they're like, hey, Peyton Barber, have a 1-yard touchdown. It's on the house.
Yeah, it's on the house. Here you go. Thanks. But yeah, Humphreys he's a borderline wide receiver 3.
So Kiki, Moore, Humphreys, Josh Reynolds at number 4.
I like Reynolds.
Traquan, he was injured. I guess he missed the game. He's someone I should put in the injury report. But either way, he should be back this week.
Yeah.
Tyrell Williams, Cortland Sutton, Marquez Valdez Scantling. You drop him?
I think so.
Man, that's such a bummer.
It is.
I was so hyped for MVS.
In a league, I sold Gordon. I couldn't keep him next year for MVS as a keeper next year
Josh
for a 10th. Melvin. You know,
Yeah, if you're
I
out
was
of it,
out of it. I sold him for MVS and Christian Kirk, just looking ahead to the futures as keeper options. And now I'm a little bit bummed because MVS is kind of he's disappeared, man. I wonder if he needed Geronimo Allison or Randall Cobb on the field to get all these targets. And I thought this week, this was a good bounce back spot for him. And Rhodes is going to be on Devontae Adams.
But it almost feel like Rhodes covered MVS.
Yeah.
Because Adams was just open.
Yeah, Adams is just open and awesome. He did pull his hamstring, I think, on one play, covered Adams. But yeah, MVS has been this whole Packers offense, like, just a whole lot of Aaron Jones and Adams.
That's the thing. Once they officially turned it over to Aaron Jones, it seems like it really took away from MVS.
Yeah, so you can't start him. That's for sure.
No, you can't.
He's in and Landry, where'd he go? Where'd Jarvis Landry go? This guy was leading the league in targets before the bye week. I think it's 3 straight games now he's had under 50 yards and fewer than 7 targets. He played 70% of the snaps yesterday, which is the lowest he's played. He's not.
Get him out of there.
I mean, Baker's looking elsewhere, and they're running the football. I think that's the biggest thing. They're running the football like 20 plus with Chubb.
And Njoku's just an easier catch and pass with him.
And Duke, too. And then Callaway.
who can apparently catch now, which is tremendous news for him.
Yeah. So Jarvis is a guy now that people have to think about getting out of their starting lineups as well.
Like, is he still a top 30? Like, we had this debate on me, Jake, and Gary, and had this on last week's ranking show because we talked about this specific issue. I was just like, he's like number 17 because he gets so much work.
Yeah. But in standard leagues, he's not top 30.
He's not startable in standard leagues.
Absolutely
But
not.
even in PPR, he might not be startable.
No, I think you have to start looking elsewhere at other guys who are just, I mean, the volume was there from a standpoint, and that's why we were playing him.
Rest of the season, DJ Moore.
100%.
Do you worry that
eventually
Torrey Smith's healthy, Devin Funches is back, and there's too much of a clutter?
No, I think DJ has. I think we're starting to see. This is why he was the first wide receiver off the board. Norv Turner's got him involved in the offense. He's explosive. This is like 2 straight weeks now where he's been involved. And Torrey Smith is not much. Funches is a red zone option. That's about it. Like Moore has get the ball to Moore and McCaffrey and watch these guys go.
And figure out the red zone. And that's, McCaffrey is not that goal line back, right? That's why I thought CJ Anderson was. That's why I thought that they signed him. Yeah, but I mean, all of a sudden they just run a quick option, and all of a sudden McCaffrey's in the flat on the 2-yard line. They throw it to him. No one's around him for some reason. It's like, run that play.
I know
that play works.
He was wide open on that play. But yeah, it's their red zone offense it's confusing because you have a guy like, Funches hasn't been around, but he's obviously a red zone threat.
Olsen.
And then Olsen is one of the best tight ends in football over the past few years in the red zone.
The Carolina did this thing on back-to-back plays. I think it was one to DJ Moore, one to Curtis Samuel, where they ran a play action and then rolled out to the left and basically just made it look like an option play where they're going to run it with McCaffrey, but then they had Samuel coming back across the field, and there was just no one on the right side of the field. Like, everyone on Seattle bit. Then they ran the same play again the next play, and it worked with DJ Moore. What are you guys doing? What's going on in this game? Like, the Chris Carson, flip, and he landed, and it was like... That was the game of the day.
Yeah, that was the game of the day. It was very entertaining, and it went actually exactly how I thought it would. I didn't know which side
I thought
to
Carolina was
lean.
going to win.
I mean, that's how I leaned. Carolina took the home team, but I figured it would come down to the very last play of the game, and they would go back and forth and trade punches. But early, it didn't look like that. It looked like an offensive struggle.
Russell Wilson's bombing it, and where the hell is that going? And then David Moore's coming. What's going on?
David Moore is somebody that I would start over Jarvis Landry. And he's finding the end zone. He's getting targets. I know it's crazy to think about, but at the end of the day, you got to look at the numbers, and the offense is just not going through Jarvis Landry, and it's going more through Lockett and Moore than Baldwin.
10 targets for Marcel Aitman.
Yeah, he had the targets. I was top 10 for the week.
Now, here's the thing.
Only caught 3 balls, though, right?
He did. He had 10 targets, though.
Yeah.
But it was against Baltimore. It's a tough matchup.
Very tough matchup.
But if he's going to, that's 2 weeks in a row, he's been the guy getting all the volume in this Raiders offense. He's taken the LaFell role.
Yeah.
As we like to call it. It's basically, I think, the Cooper role.
Yeah.
From before. If they make the older you are, or if you're Marcel Aitman. Marcel Aitman, giant white guy. Did not expect that.
No, it's like Trey Quinn.
Yeah, like Trey Quinn. Yeah, did not expect that.
Did not expect that.
With Aitman, though, it's just volume. And, the Raiders matchups to end the year are pretty solid. They got Kansas City in there. I took Derek Carr off my streamable QBs. I'm not going to stream.
Yeah,
Derek Carr. This week they have Kansas City, so there's an Aitman matchup waiting to happen.
Oh my goodness!
And I forget who they have. They have Denver at some point.
Yeah, they're gonna have to throw the ball
a ton.
Interested because they have the Bengals
and they have the Bengals. That's what it is. Yeah,
that's an 8-man game.
I mean,
if you're gonna get 10 targets. He's the number one option in the passing game.
And listen, all these other guys, again, in serious leagues.
Yeah.
Kiki, Moore, Humphreys, these guys, they're all owned.
Right.
So Marcel Aitman, probably not owned.
Definitely.
David Moore might be available.
Yeah, he could be. NFL.com leagues. But in 14-team leagues, in PPR formats, I may have to roster Aitman. I may have to.
Troy Aitman.
Because... it looks like AJ. I'm in a spot where I'm plucking guys off the waiver wire.
Are they bringing AJ back?
I don't think so at this point. I mean,
why would you?
Why would you? I think that's almost.
Then John Ross is a really good pickup.
Coffin.
Guy catches touchdowns every time AJ Green's not around.
And that was, where I was looking at the waiver wire. It's like, okay, so I'm struggling with Cooper and AJ. I'm just picking guys up. I was able to get Humphreys, but you're looking and it's like, okay, Callaway's there, Aitman's there, Pettis is there. Why not grab the guy who
has guaranteed volume?
Who's guaranteed volume playing on a poor team defensively, and they're going to have to throw the football. Yeah, Kansas City. I mean, they're going to have to throw the football.
Tight ends. Evan Ingram hurt himself in pregame warmups, then didn't play.
Yeah, wish I would have.
Which we
saw
heard
that.
after the game started. So
Yeah, thanks.
at least his snaps were trending down, so no one was on him to begin with.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped. Charles Clay also didn't play. And it wasn't even a Kroom week.
It wasn't a crew.
Bad news for Kroom. So the actual pickups, nothing really changes. Cameron Brate's still under 60% owned.
Yeah, I think he's
the guy.
Yeah, he's
If not, Herndon and Dan Arnold and Jeff Heerman.
yeah.
Although
it was
Lacoste,
Lacoste,
the preppiest man in the NFL, Lacoste getting all the touchdowns.
Because I've been playing Harmon and it's in a deep league. But yeah, Lacoste touchdown pissed me off. But yeah,
Herndon, 7 catches.
Herndon's getting volume targets. He's been a thing now for 4 or 5 weeks. He's found the end zone a couple times. And Braid is the obvious. I think he's a borderline.
Yeah, he's a tight end, maybe top 5.
Yeah, I think he's a borderline top 5. Like 18 touchdowns in 3 years now. So, I mean,
he's always better with Jameis than he is with Fitz.
Always better.
Now there's no O.J. Howard. Would you rather have Braid or Gronk rest of the season?
I'd probably just take the upside in Gronk and just hoping that he was back.
I think I'd take Braid.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
so.
understand it.
I think it's going to be so close that it's marginal either way.
Yeah.
But it's not like you can trade Gronk.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you can at this point.
if you still have trades,
If
trade
you
Gronk.
still
Because he looked like he was kind of back, but not all the way back.
He finds the end zone on a deep ball, and he almost had another one. So you sell high immediately if you can. If there's still trades in your league, absolutely.
I don't think there's going to be trades. We can still trade in legal leagues.
In leagues, yeah, we can. We got
that's-
Kittle.
Those are special rules. though.
Underwhelming yesterday.
Kittle needs Garcon and
He needs guys in the
Goodwin
field.
out there.
Yeah.
Because he scored all of his points on the final drive yesterday.
Yeah, I
It was just
know.
like Kittle. But before that, he was getting all these targets, and he was either getting pass interfered with or he
Yeah.
was quadruple covered.
Yeah, well, that should be the game plan. This is the only guy you guys have. I'm gonna, triple coverage. Kittle is awesome.
Yeah, Kittle's great.
He's definitely a top
Although he had
5
the worst,
tight
he
end
had
next
his
year.
worst game of the season.
He did. Hopefully, when it matters.
Yeah, he'll come
be
through
fine.
for us.
Yeah.
Well, Goodwin's not hurt. He just missed the game with a personal matter. I didn't look into what it was, but
Yeah. And Kittle's somebody we could even consider keeping. I think he was like pick 70.
yeah, I think he's our 40th round pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's hard loading up on the football guys. The baseball guys are so safe to keep.
I know they are, especially to get those pitchers.
Or if you had a good basketball player, although we don't. We don't have a deep one.
Yeah, Anthony Davis just kind of
Has he been bad or good?
he's been good, but again, there's always something with him. Always something. An elbow and forehead issues.
Forehead is a brow issue.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Quarterbacks for this week. People didn't go back to the Jameis well like I thought they would.
Yeah.
He's only 43% owned.
know
So
why.
he's still the number 1 streamer again because he plays Carolina this week.
Yeah, they're just
No one's real scared of Carolina's D.
no, they shouldn't be. And Winston is just a solid fantasy quarterback. I look back at his 13 games last season, at least 270 passing yards and 9 of them hit 300 a bunch.
Yeah, he just throw.
hit 300 twice this year in
Although
4 starts.
He's on the track to get benched this game because of 8 turnovers. That's how the path goes.
yeah, they can't go back to Fitz.
Oh, they could. They definitely could. So Jameis, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, 1, 2, 3. Those would be the 3 I'd be pretty good with. Stafford, Keenum, Mariota, Colt McCoy against Philly.
Stafford's a pass for me. I'd rather have Colt McCoy against Philly.
Stafford at home against the Rams. That's just such an opportunity to throw.
I guess it is. You're right. They probably won't have as much success running the football with Garrett Blunt this time around.
Or, Carry On could be back.
Yeah, Carry On could be back. Yeah, I like the matchup. It's tough to start him.
Fantasy playoff-wise. Actually, I'll save those for that. We'll go through DSTs this week, too. So DSTs for the week are Denver at Cincinnati. Feel like that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Buffalo at Miami.
Yep.
Tennessee at home against the Jets. New Orleans at Dallas.
Yeah.
New Orleans, he scores points, man.
Yeah, their D scores a lot of points.
Carolina at Tampa because of the Jameis factor. Green Bay at home against Arizona. Seattle at home against San Francisco.
A lot of options.
There are a lot of options this week.
Yeah, there's a ton of options.
So the playoff schedules for quarterbacks and playoff schedules for quarterbacks and defenses. These are the ones I found. They're in the column right now, so you can go and check them out. I have Dak Prescott as the number 1 streaming quarterback. He's at home against Philly, at Indianapolis, at home against Tampa Bay.
That's real nice.
These are weeks 14 to 16. That's... And there's always the chance that Zeke steals all of his touchdowns. They get everything through the ground, but
You can't
Give me
pass
those.
up on that.
Give me those matchups.
Yeah, you can't. That's arguably the best. And for a guy who is really ranked as a QB1 all year, he will be in those final weeks.
He has scored over, I believe it's 23 DraftKings points in 4 of 6 games, never falling below 14 in that time. Like, he's been sneaky good. He was bad at the beginning of the year.
He was, but that's why they made the trade, right? I mean, who was Dak throwing the football to at the beginning of the year?
Cole Beasley.
Everyone
The
like
Bees?
Alan Hearns. We're gonna get 2
Hey, I
targets a
drafted
game.
Alan Hearns.
Sure,
okay?
at that point it was just a free draft pick, but you know what I mean? That's exactly it. We were getting excited about Alan Hearns. So Alan Hearns, Beasley, and a rookie in Gallup who took some time to get going. So I like Dak, and you get that safe floor with his rushing ability.
Yeah, 5 of 6 games with the rushing touchdown. Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, number 2. That's assuming he keeps the job. But he's at Kansas City, at home against Tampa, at the Chargers.
Yeah, that's a really good spot too.
And he has, again, that baked-in floor of all the rushing yards.
All the rushing yards, and threw a little bit more yesterday. Probably throw a little bit more against Kansas City.
Threw 25 times.
Yeah. So what? 19 in the first game.
And the most targeted player was the ground.
Yeah, I know.
Or behind the receiver.
Somebody played Willie Snead against me. I was like, well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Like,
good. Yeah, you play all the Willie Snead you want.
Big donut.
Number 3, Case Keenum. At San Francisco,
Yeah.
at home against Cleveland, at Oakland.
I'm interested in
And
this.
Cincinnati this week. Like, if you stream Keenum this week, because it's a great matchup at Cincinnati.
Yeah. I'm intrigued with
You can,
Keenum.
like, there's always these loser quarterbacks that are the difference makers. This is why you don't draft high quarterbacks. 'Cause
Yeah.
Case Keenum's available in week 13 and has 4 great matchups in a row.
It's funny. It's so true. Like, if you had Wentz, you're looking at 2 dud games now, arguably his worst ever 2 weeks ago. I mean, maybe move on. I would move on from Wentz for
This
Dak.
week, at least.
For Dak.
Yeah.
Just get the ball in motion now with Dak.
Now, 4 and 5 are a bit tricky because I don't think anyone actually wants to play these guys, but their schedules are so good. Josh Rosen is at home against Detroit, at Atlanta, and then at home against the Rams.
I mean, 2 quarterback leagues.
Yeah.
You roll him out 2 quarterback leagues. Got that rushing ability.
Number 5, another guy with rushing ability, Josh Allen. Josh Allen at home against the Jets, at home against Detroit, at the
Yeah,
Patriots.
that's more rushing ability. I mean, at one point he was like 3rd in red zone rushing attempts. They're just running the ball with him. He did it yesterday.
Yeah.
The touchdown.
You can't play shady when Josh Allen plays. He doesn't dump the ball off to the running backs.
No, he doesn't. And he
steals everyone's carries.
Steals all of the carries.
His pass to Foster yesterday. It's funny just to think about it. Like, you see the highlights from him from college. Like, oh yeah, he's got this arm. He's got this arm. He flicks his wrist and it goes 65 fucking yards.
He's got like 99 arm strength in Madden before he ever
It's
played
crazy.
a game in the
Like,
NFL.
it's just weird to see,
Yeah.
because you see Rodgers do it. It's just like, whoosh,
Yeah.
it's going.
It's different.
Lamar Jackson also tried to throw a sidearm pass
I
that was
saw
like
that.
submarine style. I was
saw
like, what do
that.
you feel? Let's not do that, Lamar.
That's why there's people talking about whether they should go back to Flacco, because if this is a Ravens team that's going to make the playoffs, I know Flacco is disappointing
it's
too.
starting to look very Tim Tebow-y.
It is
from the year that they win.
a lot like Tim Tebow.
But I was encouraged that he did pass more. Maybe he's just he's
Yeah.
a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
And they're not asking him to throw. Now they are asking him to throw. Maybe it's going to take a few weeks.
I think
Sam
so.
Darnold's too scared to play at this point.
Right.
He's too triggered.
I think that game against Kansas City, which will probably be a loss regardless of who your quarterback is.
I think Baltimore is live in that game. If they don't make it a throwing game, if they do let's run the ball as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think the stat was yesterday that Baltimore has the most 10 play
drives.
plus drives over 7-minute drives. Like, that's how you beat Kansas City.
Yes.
Just run the ball 70 times.
100%. And in that game against the Saints, where they the first quarter was ended and they just each had a drive. So yeah, that's exactly how I think that they're the best defense in football. I still do.
Man, the Raiders were moving the ball. They're susceptible to big plays.
They are, and Jimmy Smith hasn't been as good, this season as in the past. But I think because that's the way that you're going to beat. You're right. That's the way you're going to beat Kansas City and the Saints and the Rams, and that's the way Dallas is going to have to take the approach against the Saints this week. Is to run the football, slow the pace down, and just kind of rely on the defense, and obviously get a couple 3 and outs, but. I think that will be the true test whether Lamar Jackson is the starting quarterback heading into the playoffs if Baltimore does make it. Like, if he goes into Kansas City and he struggles and he can't hit anyone with throws, then you're gonna have to think that he's not ready, and Flacco gives you a better opportunity to win a playoff game.
Defenses, you can stream for the playoffs. We talked about Denver, and if you want to get into the draw for $20 DK, give this episode a like. Go to the comment section, leave your DraftKings handle, not the live chat, the comment section. Leave your DraftKings handle and tell me which playoff defense you like the best. That's not the Denver Broncos, who are widely available because everyone dropped them because they played Pittsburgh. Now, to end the year, Denver goes Cincinnati, San Francisco, Cleveland, Oakland.
It's pretty good.
Have the Broncos. We talked about the Broncos last week.
Yeah.
Like, this is the time to go and get them if you're making the playoffs. Stash them. There's your playoff.
And I picked them up last week too, and just I have them in every league possible. Didn't start them yesterday. Could have got by, but yeah, the matchups are fantastic.
Number 2, Detroit at Arizona, at Buffalo, at home against Minnesota. Don't love at Minnesota, but Arizona and Buffalo are...
Yeah, you can deal with it by then at Minnesota. That's likely in the finals for you. So
You
yeah,
can figure something else out.
yeah.
Buffalo versus the Jets, at home against the Jets, at home against the Lions, at New England, week 16.
You figure it out then as well.
In the column, I have like some of them are like struck through.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a good matchup. The other two are really
The other two are really good. Yeah, the Bills have been a really, really solid defense. Again, 2 straight years in a row. Can you imagine this team with a little bit of offense?
They're almost up to number 1 in DVOA defense.
Yeah, I think they were 2.
They were 2 coming into the week.
Yeah, strong, really, really strong against the pass. Give quarterbacks fits for 2 years in
Great
a row
pass
now.
rush.
Great pass rush.
It's like they've got rid of all their guys too,
I
which
know.
is the weirdest
I know.
part.
It's so weird because like heading into this season, I looked at their roster and I'm like,
Yeah, Tre'Davious White can't cover everybody.
yeah. So it's trending in the right direction, but you wonder if when they finally get an offense, if the defense is is
As
any good.
good, yeah.
McDermott has done a really good job with that team, considering they have nothing offensively, man.
Tennessee at home against Jacksonville, at the Giants, at home against Washington.
like-
Not great matchups, but
like
good
them.
matchups.
I like them, and you know what? I'd have no problem rolling them out against Washington and Colt McCoy. with
and they
a
get the
couple
Jets
picks.
this week too, so they basically have 4 usable matchups
Yep.
the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's a good spot too. I like them. They're pretty close to Denver.
The Chargers. The Chargers get Cincinnati in week 14. You probably don't want to play them at Kansas City in week 15, but they're against Baltimore and potentially Lamar Jackson
Oh yeah,
in week 16. That could be a game breaker.
that could be. Yeah, that could win you the whole shit. I mean, Bosa comes back and he's awesome. The pressure that he generates and gets after the quarterback.
He
he's
makes
the
their
best.
entire defense so much
Yeah.
better. Like they're
now a legitimate because he was gone. They're still missing a couple pieces.
there,
from-
but that
they're
pass
still
rush that
legitimate.
Melvin Ingram, like they were just able to triple Melvin Ingram.
Exactly.
Now they can't.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know if they're gonna get Perriman back or not. They might.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That would be a huge boost.
Last
as well.
one. I have Baltimore on here. That doesn't seem right, but I guess it is. Baltimore, if they were dropped, they shouldn't be dropped. But I put them on here because they play at Kansas City week 14, so they will be dropped at some point. But they get Tampa Bay and the Chargers weeks 15 and 16. It's not great.
No, but you could play them against the Bucks.
Yeah, you can
if
play
you
them
miss out
against
on some of these options.
Yeah. And they're probably not available right now because everyone picked them up to play against Oakland.
But you're right. People will drop them. now.
People will drop them against Kansas City, and then that's just there for
Yeah.
be aware of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just don't tune out and be looking around.
Yeah, now's the time to grab these defenses.
Handcuffs, defenses,
And
multiple defenses.
You could carry 3. I've carried 3 before. Hey, I want this on week 14. I want this on week 15. And
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead. Yeah.
Save your fab bucks.
Yeah.
Get these defenses and make sure that no one can use them against you.
I think that's the biggest thing of why I carry 2 and sometimes 3. I do not want to go against, for example, like I would have grabbed Baltimore if I saw them on the wire. If somebody could potentially have played them against me yesterday against Oakland.
Early spreads, I want to let everyone know that odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. A lot of games off the board. Tonight's game, it's now 4
It's now 4.
as I look at it right now.
I think the Titans will keep that game close.
I think it's a field goal game.
Yeah, me too.
So I like the points in the Titans.
Yeah, like I said, I jumped on that 6.5 pretty early.
I mean, 175 money line plus 175. Tennessee can win this game.
Of course they can. Yeah, of course. The defense has been legit all year, I think. A very underrated defense.
And again, Tennessee is really good at exploiting things that you don't do well at all. Like if you have a huge deficiency on your team anywhere, Tennessee's real average at every facet of the game.
Yeah.
Special teams, secondary, linebackers, defense, O-line, running backs, quarterbacks, receivers.
Yeah.
Very average to mediocre.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you're really bad at something, they will crush you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened against the Patriots. They got
Yeah.
so much pass rush at Brady. What's going to happen with Watson? Texans have the worst O-line in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a quarterback who's been hit more than Deshaun Watson this season, dealing with the lung issue earlier in the year. So I think, they'll be able to dial up some pressure. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
And listen, Texans are smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
They
They've
really
won
are.
like 7 straight
Seven
games now?
games in a row. They're not that good.
No, they're not. Also, a little bit worried too with Mariota. Like that's the biggest thing. Like if they generate pressure, Mariota takes a hit from Clowney or Watt, then the game's out of reach for them. But
It is, but and I guess the thinking about the Tennessee side of the ball, when they want to get rolling, they want to run the ball, and the Texans have an excellent run defense.
They're terrific.
But they don't have a great pass defense.
No.
And I do worry that if Malcolm
Butler, you can't put him on Hopkins.
what if that happens? Even for a play, it's a 99-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that's right. That's their biggest issue is their secondary, and Malcolm Butler has just been lit up all year long.
Other spreads to look at: the Bills at the Dolphins, -5 Dolphins.
Feels like the Bills could keep that close.
The Bills can keep that first.
Yeah.
The problem is you never know if they're going to score.
No, I feel like they never score, and they just.
But they do sometimes.
They do sometimes, and mostly it's because their defense puts them in good spots, and that's really what it is at the end of the day. Because this is a team that ranks in the bottom 2 in passing yards, rushing yards, offense in general, and points.
The Bucks and Jags are both 3.5-point dogs at home to open. Panthers -3.5 in Tampa. And the Colts are 3.5-point favorites in Jacksonville. That's dicey.
Wow. I'm gonna jump on that right now.
A lot of
before
home
that
dogs this week.
before that changes.
What do
I
you
know Jacksonville has struggled. I keep going back to them. I got to go back to them in that spot at home.
3.5, yeah. I bet you that comes down to 3.
They lose by a field goal. Fine.
They're keen on losing by field
Oh,
goals.
they love it.
They lost by a field goal in Indy like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The other one, man, so many home dogs. How many points do you think that the Raiders are getting at home against the Chiefs?
Wow, the Raiders are at home against the Chiefs.
So it's plus what?
It's got to be at least 7.5, right?
It's 14.5.
Yeah. I mean, double it. Obviously, 7.5 is no good.
Detroit's also home against the Rams, and the Rams and Chiefs are coming off a bye.
That one has to be 7.5, 10.5.
9.5.
Yeah.
So a lot of home dogs.
A lot of home dogs this week.
A lot of big
It'll be-
totals. The totals in those two games already 54.5, 56. And the Carolina Bucks game 56.5. We got some shootout games.
Because we only had that 55 on the main slate. That was the only one in the 50s,
And that game went
right?
under.
And that game went under. Yeah, by a long shot, really.
Yeah, the good shootout game was that Carolina-Seattle game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Philly.
Since he couldn't keep up, like Cleveland scored their points, but since he couldn't keep up, there was a lot of garbage
I think
at
that
the end.
got over.
At the end, but through some garbage.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It all counts.
Oh, it all counts. You're right. But yeah, there weren't a lot of big time performances. I'm going to be on neither of those home dogs. I'm going to be on Kansas City. I'm definitely going to be on the Rams. Like I said, I'm not in on Detroit, man. I don't like them.
Washington at the Eagles Monday night. It's a big break for Washington. Thursday night last week to Monday night this week,
Yeah.
where the Bears had to play in a primetime Sunday night game, then play on Thursday at noon.
Right.
And Washington gets like 3 weeks off.
And I watched Feinberg and Cuss talking about the Jets being screwed over, and I loved Feinberg's reaction is the Bears had to play 2 games in like 48 hours it felt like, and 3 games in
And they still won,
like
with a
10
backup
10
quarterback.
days, and they still won. Yeah, with the backup quarterback. Yeah, I mean that's going to be a big game for the Eagles. Obviously, a winnable game, and I'm going to be in on Jordan Reed if he's healthy. I haven't heard anything about him. I know he took that shot to the head late in the game, but
He seems fine.
he seemed fine. This is a guy who's had a lot of concussions.
Showdown slate for tonight on DraftKings. Captain-wise, Titans D. Like, if the Titans are going to keep this close, their D's going to have to do stuff.
Is going to have to, yeah. I would lean maybe Deion Lewis. Does it get too expensive? You don't feel the upsides there with him? Because they're not going to be able to run the ball. With
I would
Henry
just
down
say,
the gut.
if I was going to pick a Titan that wasn't the defense, I mean, Mariota's always in play because he can run, but like,
Yeah.
might be a spot to go to Corey Davis if you want a Titans player. Because everyone's like all pissed off with him because he had a bad week last week.
Yeah, recency bias. People, he's probably been one of the most out-of-drop guys all year.
I don't
hear
think so.
questions about him all.
I do, but I don't think anyone really ever has the guts to cut him.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. Lewis is interesting to me just because I feel like they're not going to be able to run the ball with Henry. I mean, he's
get him
second
on
to
the
team in targets and catches. He's going to be on the field almost the entire game. But what we've seen when they get down in the red zone, Henry has come in there and taken away some work. It's kind of frustrating.
If you're going to play a Texan, Do you just pay up and pay for Hopkins?
I
Just
think
think he goes mental on these idiots.
I think that's probably the play.
Or like if you want to get contrarian with this, I mean Watson's always in play. You could play Cutie
You could play Cutie.
if you wanted to. Although the matchup, the Malcolm Butler matchup, is probably Demaryius Thomas on the outside. I would not play Demaryius Thomas, but
He didn't
no.
even-
If there's a spot where you want to get a guy who no one's going to play, it's
Right.
him.
If you're playing Showdown and you're playing multiple lineups, I mean,
He's-
you have to kind of sprinkle in a little DT because you're right. If you're looking at recency bias, you're looking at Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, but I
and
don't even
zero
think
targets.
I don't even think that's recency bias. I think he's bad.
He's just awful.
Yeah. Like Lamar Miller might be like contrarian play.
And he's been
For the
pretty
Texans side.
steady.
He's getting the volume, but you never know which week that he's going to get to the end zone.
Yeah, and that's another one. Like I'm a tough team to run on, Tennessee. Like you wonder if he could get 20 touches for 60 yards, and that's
Like this could be a kickers and defense game.
right. That's what I feel like. I feel it's a 2017 game. It's a defensive battle.
If that's the case, then you can
Then
play
you could
both
roll the
defenses.
D.
Play both defenses, play both kickers, and play both quarterbacks.
What about Texans D? What about just rolling them out?
Texans D, Titans D.
Yeah.
Who are the kickers in this game? Suck up and what's the guy's name?
Fairbath.
It's not Fairbath, is it?
5, isn't it?
Fairbjorn.
Yeah, well, fair something.
Yeah, fair something. He has the apostrophe in the first name. So,
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is why that's the main reason to get rid of kickers. You know, I invented a thing on the internet. It was called "Take Kickers Out of Fantasy."
I don't believe it.
I'm gonna tell Jake that.
I'm gonna need the proof.
I'm gonna tell Jake that he actually stole it from me, and he will get triggered.
Ban kickers is pretty much trending on Twitter this morning. Everyone is all about it.
Shout out to Jake. Jake was I
He's got a T-shirt.
I got rid of kickers in all my leagues years ago
Right.
because Jake talked me into it. I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about the ban kickers is now people are like, well, you should get rid of defenses too. Get rid of tight ends. Like at some point, like
Let's draw a line.
yeah.
Yeah, we can't be getting rid of everyone. Let's only play with running backs.
No,
and-
let's play with no one, and we'll just go based on my projections of what happened.
Yeah.
We don't care what happens in the game. I just always want to be right. Like,
Yeah.
calm the fuck down.
Yeah, it's a bit much. I understand where Jake's coming from for sure. I mean, he's rocking the T-shirts. Been talking about it a long time. I'm same way. Like I don't play with
But
kickers.
it's a part of the movement. Who cares?
Yeah.
If we can get it done, then it gets done.
Yeah, it
Who
gets
cares how it
done.
happens?
That's what I mean. Like, who cares? And Jake doesn't have the power. He's not working for ESPN or Yahoo. Like,
Well, he has enough power to influence those guys.
exactly.
So boom.
And so he's behind all of it. And yeah, this
I
ban.
am going to claim credit for it on tomorrow's show, though. I want to see how mad he gets.
Yeah, you should. You should just make a
Wear a
Kickers
band
t-shirt.
kickers
You
t-shirt.
got- make
Inventor
one-
of band kickers, Pat Mayo.
Oh, please do it. Please.
I don't care enough to put that kind of time into it. So yeah, a kicker, defense, quarterback could be a play in this game.
Yeah, I think you should start with defense. I think that's a good call. We've talked ourselves into that. It makes
like it.
sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Note, I'm awful at showdown slates. Like
They're tough, man.
They're tough. Colin Drew is who you want to go to. I think he won another one last night.
Wow.
I think it's 3 this year he's won.
Wow, he's balling out at the showdowns.
That's impressive stuff.
It's very impressive. I mean,
Shout out dailyroto.com. You get 10% off. Use the promo code the PME at Daily Roto.
they know what's going on over there. They really do.
Drew, Mike, Drew
Yeah.
B.
Yeah.
Ricky's over there now.
Yeah, it's a good crew. It's a good crew.
It's our old crew.
Yeah. We're familiar with them. You know, you got to give them credit because it's so tough. And I think, you try to get too cute sometimes with, I'm going to play DT because no one's going to. There's a reason no one's playing DT, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason. Like, he's fallen off and he hasn't been involved in this offense at all. So,
All right, let's say goodbye to the audio listeners.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So please rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leaving the review is probably the good part. And if you do want to get in on it, you can just leave you can give a like or leave a review for the audio podcast. Leave your DraftKings handle and tell me, besides Denver, which playoff defense you would go pick up right now to put on your bench so you could play in the fantasy playoffs. All right? Thanks for listening, sorry. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time. Viewer questions. For those watching on the interwebs, I'll tweet this out. Viewer cues now.
like it.
Let's see. 67 likes. We need to get more likes
Oh,
than that.
come on, people.
Oh, no one is even leaving questions down here. So this is pretty good.
They're all out of the playoffs.
Yeah, everyone's out of the playoffs.
Or
This
they're
guy says
locked
play
in.
Taja Sharp in tournaments. That's not actually a terrible
Yeah,
play.
no, I actually don't mind that one.
There's no Tywan Taylor in this game, so he's
Yeah.
going to continue to see the reps. Jonnu Smith is probably...
Jonas Smith is interesting for sure. I mean, if there's a tight end I'm going to play, he's the one. He's found the end zone recently over the past couple weeks. And like I said, it's tough to run on this Houston defense. They generate a lot of pressure.
They do, and I believe that they're second in D or 8th in D.
Yeah, it's tough, man. You get Watt and Clowney.
This guy says that Josh Adams needs to be on your list, and he's like getting triggered.
He is on your list.
No, he's not. He's like 74% owned. Can't be on the list.
Okay,
he's
fine.
too owned. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, we talked about him earlier. Yeah, you're a week too late. He's 74% owned.
You're
he
like
started
four,
everywhere
in
last
fairness,
week.
you're like 4 weeks too late.
Yeah.
I just wasn't in. Other people were in though.
Yeah, I mean it's fair, but he's taking control of that backfield now.
Rules of the chat. If you ask the same question twice, you will be banned for life. If you ask about Mark Ingram, you will be banned for life. If I think your question is fucking stupid, you will be banned for life. So it'll be fun.
We need a ban for life tee.
Or
That's
the,
what we
or,
need.
or the drop.
Ban kickers, ban for life.
Bears D for the playoffs? Question mark. I believe that they will be playing weeks 14 to 16, so that is a defense you could use.
It's a
So
borderline ban for life.
ban for life question.
borderline.
Just starting off with a ban for life question.
Bears are fine. I think they play the Rams once, but you play them. Maybe not against the Rams, but you play them in other matchups. Yeah,
Greg Olson or Cameron Brate rest of the season? Probably Brate.
yeah. I would just go with Brate. High-powered offense.
They're both good though.
Yeah, they're both solid. It sucks to you drafted. I think Olsen probably pretty early. You hung on this long and you just cut him, but whatever.
Oh yeah. Also, if you ask a start-sit question for week 13, ban for life.
Yeah, that's expected now. You can't be asking those questions on a Monday morning.
On a Monday morning, like fuck off.
It's too tough,
What's
man.
wrong
I haven't
with
looked
you
at any of these matchups. I mean, you just told me some of them.
Trevor says, "Hey Pat, is Emmanuel Sanders a high-end wide receiver 2 the rest of the season? Seems like a mid-tier wide receiver 2.
He's a 2. And I would, if you asked me this last week, I would have said he's a borderline 2. But yesterday was a good game. Another revenge showing against the Steelers. He's basically the only guy in that passing option.
Is Duke Johnson droppable? I don't think so. Why are you dropping Duke Johnson?
Yeah.
I don't think he's the most playable guy in the world.
Yeah, I could see you dropping him in a 10-team standard, but definitely a PPR, you hold on him for some
I
time.
always assume if people
don't. People play in weird leagues.
but if people don't put standard, I just assume it's
fair.
PPR.
Yeah. And about Sanders, you just mentioned the schedule earlier for Denver. He may be a high end too. This schedule for the Broncos is really nice.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference if he's a high end 2 or a high end 3?
He's your
if
starting.
if you play 3 receivers, you're playing Emmanuel Sanders.
You're playing him every week.
Mac or James White, week 13. Oh, that means you are banned for life. And you're asking about a guy who has a fucking concussion we don't even know who's going to play. What's wrong with you? Banned for life. Go fuck off. Njoku or Brate rest of the season? I like Njoku still.
I do as well. I think there's slightly more upside and more volume with Njoku than Brate.
Trade away Eckler and Fitzgerald for Dalvin Cook and Jeffrey. Nah, I would not. I'd rather have Fitz and Jeffrey, I think.
Yeah. Would you rather have Cook though than Eckler? No.
I think I'd rather have Eckler than Cook if Gordon's going to be out at least 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jeffrey has taken a back seat now, big time. He hasn't had a good game in weeks.
What defense has the best playoff schedule? Why don't you click the fucking article, pal? This is what this entire show's been about.
There's a huge write-up and about 20 minutes spent.
Yeah, it's talking
on
about
the defense.
Actually, if you want to rewind to 49:04, then you can hear us talk about all the playoff defenses, their matchups, and the order in which we would pick them up.
Yeah.
So thanks for playing.
Yeah, got a good time code there for you.
This guy has golf questions, but he doesn't want to be banned for life. But I think that because you're not talking about football, that maybe I'll just go timeout on that one. Timeout for that viewer.
Good call, by the way, on Phil.
Thank you very much. Plus 175.
Yes. Awesome. That was great. Were you sweating it when Tiger chipped that in at the end?
Yes.
Yeah, chipped it to force the playoff.
Yeah, that was not good. Broncos D or Chiefs D this week? I like Broncos D.
Yeah, I like Broncos
Just get your
D too.
hands on Broncos D.
Get them now, get it out of the way, and roll them the rest of the way. You will not be disappointed.
This guy also asked Brate or Njoku rest of the season. I don't think it's the same guy, though.
Popular question, eh?
I like Njoku.
Yeah, Joku.
Is Trey Quinn worth picking up?
I think so.
No. This guy's going to get banned for life.
Oh, let's get the rankings.
Who are you picking him up for?
Right.
Do you have an empty roster spot? Then yeah, you should probably pick up anyone.
Yeah.
Because it's better than having no one.
It's weird when you get those questions because you would think that they would ask like, who should I drop? Like, should I drop this guy
For this guy.
for this guy?
I mean,
you're not
that
picking
makes
up
a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Man, the Sunday viewers are much better at this. Maybe start sits a lot easier.
yeah, I'd say it is. Give
And-
some context.
Again, it's like this one. Is Marcus Valdez-Scantling droppable? For who? Who are you dropping him for? If you drop him for no one, I would recommend keeping him.
Yeah, you're not going to drop him for a scrub.
Bench Jordan Howard for the rest of the season and the playoffs. I would feel like that's more of a week-to-week decision you want to make.
I think it's
Or
very...
who are you benching him for?
Yeah, it obviously depends, but he's definitely not an RB2 the rest of the way.
Thoughts on Gerald Everett at tight end? I didn't put him in my rankings. I just feel like it's so... Between him and Eleanor Higbee, they're splitting that up anyway. Yeah. And here's a fun fact. The Rams are not going to score over 50 points every week.
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, it's so tough.
He's a capable streamer, but be prepared for 0 points.
Yeah, definitely not startable in 12 teams. It has to be deeper formats. And even then, like, maybe you could play a tight end in your flex.
Standard flex rest of the season rankings. I mean, there's no real rest of it. If you have all three of these guys, then you can choose week to week. Sutton, Elijah McGuire, John Brown. That's probably the order I would go in.
Yep, me too. I maybe Brown in that Chiefs game. John Brown in the Chiefs game. A lot of points, throwing the ball over McGuire. Yeah.
But this is for the rest of the season. It's not for next week or anything. Yeah. That's why ranking people for the rest of the season makes no sense.
Yeah, play the matchups.
Especially if you have the guys already.
Play the matchups.
Breda, carry on. Again, Breda, carry on Chris Carson rest of the season. I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah.
Just look at the fucking rankings week to week.
Yeah.
You can figure it out from there.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Where can I find all the Pat Mayo articles? I mean, besides me constantly tweeting them out, posting on my Facebook page, and in the description of this video, I don't know.
It's probably the easiest thing to find your articles. You do a really good job of promoting them.
If you can't find them, like I do, I over promote them to the point where I wouldn't follow me because it would just annoy me. Like if anyone else was besides me was doing it, I'd be like, "Fuck that guy." But this is how I get the word out. Apparently, I'm not getting the word out enough.
Yeah, wow. You need to schedule a few more tweets, man.
Let's see here. I have Wentz and Trubisky for QB. Winston, Manning, and Jackson are all available. Which QB would you drop and which QB would you pick up? Why do you have two QBs to begin with? You can drop Wentz. You can drop Trubisky. Pick up Winston.
Yeah.
Pick up Winston. Pick up Jackson.
Yeah.
If you want to have two on your team.
Yeah.
We talked about how great Jackson's playoff schedule is.
For sure. I like Trubisky against the Giants coming up, but there's no need to hang on to Wentz anymore.
I mean, if you just want to keep one, just keep Trubisky. I guess he has the Rams. He has the Giants. He does.
Who does
Chicago have?
He's got the Giants this week.
So just keep Trubisky and play him as long as he's healthy.
Yeah.
So Trubisky, pick up Jameis in case he doesn't play this week. You can play Jameis this week against Carolina. All will be good.
That is the key. You said healthy.
Yeah.
Interested to see how he's going to respond this week. Apparently, it's like an AC joint. His shoulder is all messed up. That's like usually a 3 to 4 week thing for a quarterback.
How about this? Very good question. Anyone on the Rams offense is a good pickup?
No, they all suck.
Yeah, drop them all.
They're one of the worst teams I've ever seen play football.
Just drop them. Yeah. I mean, you could pick up Gurley if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's available or not, though.
He probably isn't. You know, he could have been dropped, ankle issue.
Yeah,
may have been dropped.
He's bye week. Screw this guy. I'm dropping him.
Yeah, go pick up Torrey Holt.
Phillip Lindsay or Gus Edwards rest of the season.
Ooh, Lindsay's been
great.
Lindsay has been really good.
The snap share's gone up. Even yesterday, it was, let's see here, I believe it was 63%. Booker was down to 11%, which was great.
There it is, 63%.
63%.
Yeah, I spent 100 of my 300 fab bucks after week 1 on Lindsay, and I thought, wow, did I ever overpay? But man, I didn't. This guy has been, to think that he was undrafted and plucked up off the street a couple, maybe 24 hours before the Broncos' first game.
If Barkley wasn't Barkley, Lindsay would be in the mix for like offensive rookie of the year.
Yes, he really would. He's explosive. He can catch. He's looked great between the tackles. It's actually put a huge. He has cool hair. He looks good out there. And it's put a damper on Royce Freeman, who has been very, very underwhelming.
The very droppable Royce Freeman.
Yeah, I can play this guy.
Pick up Callaway or Elijah McGuire. That solely depends on whether you need a running back or a wide receiver.
I would lean Callaway.
I would lean Callaway too. Kenyon Drake or Gus Edwards rest of the season?
I'm going with Gus.
Gus Bus?
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Miami and the things that they do and Adam Gase and going to Frank Gore and, last year Damian Williams had to get hurt before they leaned on Kenyon Drake. Like, Kenyon Drake, I think, is very, very good. But I just have no faith in this Miami offense and that they're going to give him the ball a ton. Like, yesterday he looked awesome, but I'm just going to go with Gus and the guaranteed carries. Like, Alex Collins, even if he's healthy, he's not getting 20 carries.
Is Jarvis Landry droppable for a second playoff defense? That's probably a bit
wow,
much.
Yeah, that is. I like the thinking.
If Jarvis Landry is your worst player, I guess. but there's no way he's your worst
He
player.
can't be your worst. Yeah, he can't be. I mean, if you're nuts,
if he's your worst player, you don't need to worry about these streaming defenses. Your
yeah,
team is too
you're
good to
probably
begin with.
fine. Good question though. Like I like that. That's thinking ahead and trying and listening and
agree.
understanding.
If
Yeah.
the Rams falter and the Saints rest starters in Week 16, this might be overthinking it.
Yeah.
Who's the best? That's not who's. Who is the best waiver Saint to target? And basically anyone who caught a touchdown in the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Those are all the waiver guys. Dan Arnold,
It might be
Kirkwood,
It might be Kirkwood.
Brandon Marshall.
Marshall, that's right. Marshall will probably come into that game and get a boatload of targets. It's tough, man. You mean you don't want to play? I don't think you want to play any of them in a Week 16 championship game. You're really just. I mean, Breeze is probably not going to play in that game, right? You're looking at Bridgewater then, and
How much can you trust Dalvin Cook rest of the season? I know this is like a scale where we give trust rankings. I mean, you can, sure. You trust him enough to play him.
yeah. Again, very underwhelming though.
Yeah, he scored a touchdown.
Scored a touchdown, caught a few balls in the backfield. They leaned on Murray in the fourth. It's gonna happen.
Eckler or Coleman rest of the season?
Eckler. Yeah.
Fair trade, Antonio Brown for Nick Chubb? I think I would still want Antonio Brown.
I would want Antonio too, but again, if you have no running backs and you're set up at wideout and you don't have Jarvis Landry, then you make that move. You make the move to have the balance of your team. If you're fine at wideout.
It's a legitimate discussion to have because Chubb has
Yeah.
been so good.
Yeah. And just guaranteed touches from him every single week.
And now
carries.
he's getting involved in him getting involved in the passing game is a nice boost.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, Shady against Miami or Chubb against Houston next week. I mean, that's not even close, but you're asking a start sit question, which means you're banned for life.
Suck it.
Ah, that's fun. We should just ban everyone.
I'm sure you'll have another opportunity.
This guy's asking Week 15 start sit questions. Banned for life.
Crap. Week
Fuck
15.
off.
Week 15.
Rivers or Breeze rest of the season?
I'm still
play
Breeze.
Breeze.
Like, yeah, it's
Put it this way,
question.
if Breeze doesn't play one of those weeks, don't play Breeze.
Yeah. And you know what? Sean Payton wants him to get that MVP, like I said here on Thursday. They ran up the score against the Eagles, and they're going to give every opportunity for Breeze to finish the season strong.
Herndon or Ebron?
I just take Ebron, man, and these damn touchdowns. It's unexplainable. It's crazy. 12 touchdowns this year in 11 games is more than you had in 4 years with Detroit. I don't even care that he's getting 2 targets anymore. Like, at this point, I don't care, man.
But you can't listen. I'm with you on Ebron. Like, I'm never gonna rank him inside like the top 5 at tight end.
No.
He'll be right around where he was for me this week, like 11 or 10,
12,
something
yeah.
like that. But you can't if you're gonna be playing Ebron. Don't be the fucking dickhead who
Right.
complains about you got 0 points.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
It's going to happen. You have to have that in the back of your mind that you can put out Ebron and he could have a damn 0 for you and a 0 in targets, 0 in catches, 0 in fantasy points. But I don't understand. It's getting to the point now where if you're the other defense here, you're looking at Ebron, who hardly touches the field all game. He only gets in there in red zone packages. Frank Reich said this at the start of the season. He told all of us, Eric Ebron is a weapon that I'm going to use in the red zone. We're going to line him up wide. We're going to have one-on-one coverage. He cannot be stopped in the red zone. He did the same thing in Philly with his tight ends over the past couple of years. Ebron just catches damn touchdowns. And how the hell our defense is not covering this guy in the red zone? He's 4th in red zone targets. All of his catches have basically been in the red zone. It's crazy.
Let's go to the Facebook chat.
Ebron rants, man.
Ebron got you triggered.
He's got me triggered every single week with this guy.
Drop Reynolds and Scantling? Question mark. I mean, for no one.
I'm not dropping Reynolds.
Yeah, he had 0 points this week. He was on bye.
Yeah. And the week before, he had the touchdown, did he not?
Yeah.
This is an awesome
But
offense.
he had 0 points bye week. Couldn't overcome that matchup. What the fuck are you talking about? People?
Yeah, I like him.
Let's see. Does Gurley sit week 14, 15, and 16? I very much doubt it.
Man, I wish I knew the answer to that. Be rich.
I don't think that's going to be.
No, he's fine. Sean McVay said he was fine. It was, that was a game where they were just taking shots back and forth.
Man, Facebook chat. Might not need to go to the Facebook chat anymore. Just can't even ban people.
shady?
Can't even ban people for life on there. Just horrible questions. Who's the odd man out? Chubb, Edwards, or Connor? I mean, do you have to drop one of these people? Like, what the fuck's the deal here? Banned for life.
Yeah, you're not dropping any of those guys.
Yeah.
You're making tough decisions, but I think you're starting Chubb 100% every week and Connor for that point.
Do you guys or Jake do rest of the season rankings weekly? No. No one does.
No,
Does anyone?
No.
Stuff changes so much week to week. It would be a useless effort.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does rest of the season rankings.
Who's the better stash, Malcolm Brown or Ware? I mean,
I
you just check the rankings.
Yeah.
I think it's Ware.
I think it's Ware too.
Drop.
at least been involved.
Here's a good one. Drop MVS for Malcolm Brown. There's a good question.
That's a good question.
Yeah, if you're not
Yeah.
playing him,
Yeah,
let's do it.
yeah, for sure.
Dalvin Cook or Breda, rest of the season.
Wow. I think I'll go Breda. I think I'll lean Breda.
I will lean Breda as well. Rocket Richard is banned for life. No, he's not Rocket Richard. It's a hero. He even got hurt and came back into that game. Would you trade David Johnson for Philip Lindsay? I would not.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that either. Yeah. I'd just keep TJ.
Will Landry play again?
Yes.
I'm gonna guess he's still gonna play.
Yeah, he's gonna play again.
What do you think of Eckler rest of the season? Why don't you rewind to the beginning of the show when we talked about his number one pickup? Trade Calvin Ridley for Landry. Half point.
What? I would just
not-
keep Ridley.
Yeah, I don't know how you're still trading. That makes no sense.
I don't.
Change the rules of that league, by the way.
People shouldn't be trading at 1 week left. That's how you get your league into a mess.
Big problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Lamar Jackson has the starting job locked up? I do. Why are they going back to Flacco? Flacco might not even be healthy enough to play. He has to
Yeah.
go see a hip specialist.
I think so too. But as I said earlier, I mean, that Kansas City game will be a big turning point for me because that's a team they're gonna have to beat in the playoffs.
Good question here. Allen Robinson / Baldwin are not in my top 3 receivers. Is it worth the upside of rostering Spencer Ware and dropping one of them? I think so.
Yeah,
I would keep one of them, drop one of them. Which one would you rather have rest of the season, Baldwin or Robinson?
I think I would rather have Baldwin.
I think I'd
Man,
rather
that's
have Baldwin.
tough.
I think
That's
I'd rather
so
have
tough.
Baldwin too.
They've both been very underwhelming, but I think just knowing what I've seen over the past couple of years and the way that Seattle is playing football right now, I think I'd have to go Baldwin. And you mentioned the matchups. That's what it is. That's key for me. Those matchups.
2 San Francisco, 1 Arizona.
Yeah, those are pretty good spots for.
Although I think one of those is week 17. 2 quarterback league. I have Big Ben and Dak. Obviously roll with Dak. Stick with Ben or swap for Lamar or Jameis. I mean, that depends on your matchups every week, but
Yeah, I mean, you could just keep Ben as your backup.
I mean, Ben did almost throw for 500 yards yesterday.
And he has the Saints coming up. Like that's
Saints and Chargers.
Yeah, those are with
play
all
the-
of his
do they play
weapons.
the Patriots too?
They do play the Patriots.
Yeah, just keep Ben.
So he's in just shootouts galore, man.
Oh, this guy says, Meaney, very smart, calm, and level-headed, which means you need to have him on with Cust. See if Cust can break you.
Cuss could definitely get me going. He actually said something to me yesterday on Twitter about Jeff Skinner being odds-on favorite to win the Hart Trophy. He's 19th in scoring.
Cust.
Like he's got 18 goals. He's leading the NHL in shooting percentage. That will calm down. There's a better player on his team that will be odds-on favorite for the Hart. Jack Eichel.
There is no subject that Cust could know nothing about that he won't have hot takes on and really convince himself that he knows what he's talking about.
It's great.
Drop John Brown for Antonio Callaway. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, I mean he's getting more targets. At one point, you just have to cut your ties with
Maybe
the John Brown
you roll the
experience.
John Brown dice this week because of the matchup. It's Kansas City, right? This week?
It's
Or is that next
Atlanta.
week? Oh, it's Atlanta this week. Kansas
Yeah,
City
so
the week after.
yeah, so maybe you hang on. He's just really tough to start.
And
if
listen-
you don't have to start him, you're stashing him. Maybe
Yeah,
you're just hoping.
And Callaway's he's tough to start.
You're right. He is. He had the one good game. But I'm looking ahead at the schedule here, like you did as well. Atlanta, that's a team that you could pass on. They're gonna want to run. I mean, that's the way you beat the Falcons. And then Kansas City, he's gonna have to give John Brown some targets in that football game. There's no question about it. Kansas City's gonna score some points.
See, now back in the Facebook chat, here's a real question. Would you rather have Jack Doyle or Tevin Coleman rest of the season? Who do you think is going to be the better play there? Who did you say Atlanta had?
Atlanta they got Baltimore this week, so it's a tough matchup for Tevin Coleman.
You just play Doyle. Doyle's always involved.
Yeah, he is always
Just you have
involved.
to hope Ebron or that other dude or Swoop doesn't steal all the
swooping
touchdowns.
all in. And then Atlanta's got Green Bay week 14, and then Atlanta has Arizona week 15. It's a decent run matchup, and then 16 there at Carolina.
Oh, another Facebook chat
I'd actually
question.
play Coleman. I just play the back. To get the
Rob
touches.
Perez says, if you're relying on these guys, you just need to quit.
Oh,
I do enjoy that he's watching a fantasy football show on a Monday morning and
and
shit
chirping
talking-
us.
chirping us, yeah. Guess who's getting paid to be here? Guess who's not?
Yeah. And I mean, come on, man. You're watching us on a Monday morning. That's the bottom line.
Trust Dalvin like your girlfriend going to yacht week, aka don't.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna scroll to the bottom to see if there's any real questions. Pick up Hump Daddy or Beasley. You mean you just check the column, but Hump Daddy.
Hump Daddy.
Oh, who to start week 13? Cousins or Rivers? Banned for life.
Banned for life. Kick him off.
Why do people ask rest of the season questions going into the playoffs? I don't know.
I know, it's a very good question. You're playing matchups. It's so
Yeah,
much changes from week to week.
Wait, why do people ask rest of the season questions so much? They only check their lives like once every 3 weeks. Like, it is weird, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make
And
any
you can't
sense.
trade.
Yeah.
So it's strange.
It makes no sense.
Do you think that Chris Thompson will play again this season?
Probably.
Probably.
I think so, but he's not going to come near any of my starting rosters. I said this last week too. It's underwhelming anyways, even all year.
Should Josh Reynolds be locked in as my wide receiver 3 rest of the season? I don't understand why you have to lock in a player for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Why can't you just do it week by week?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you people?
Play the matchups, but
He also
Play
has
'em.
Kiki and DJ Moore. He's like, or just play matchups weekly. Like, is there like an option? Like you have to lock one in now, or you can play matchups weekly? Fuck off.
yeah, just play the matchups.
I'm done
That's
with
it.
this.
Yeah.
Done with this.
Yeah. This is weak question.
I wish I could just scroll through and get the real questions instead of the bad questions.
It's tough.
It's killing me. It's hurting my soul. We've been doing this for 13 weeks. Just
Yeah.
got no soul left.
No soul.
And like, there's a legitimate list of the people in order that you can go pick up.
Yeah.
That's why we don't do the start sit questions now. Because I do a ranking show on Tuesday.
And so much happens too. Like, well, you do it on Tuesday, but you'll get more reports, today with some of the injured guys, and then Tuesday.
We don't have all the info yet.
Yeah.
And you don't need to make the choice now.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Hopkins or Watson in the captain slot tonight?
I mean, it's so
Hopkins is
tough.
the most expensive
Hopkins
player.
is so expensive. Puts a strap on you, but I mean, he's the guy with the highest ceiling in this matchup. But again, if he has days and he is able to exploit Butler, then Watson has a day too. So maybe just go with Watson.
I have 5 legit running backs with Gus Bus or Coleman probably being the worst. Is one of them droppable for Reynolds? If you need a receiver, well, you have to play a receiver. I'd just keep the running backs. So you don't want any of those running backs being played against you
No, yeah,
at
you
any
don't.
point. But I would drop Coleman before I dropped Gus Bus.
Me too. I would drop Coleman, pick up a wideout, help the balance of your team.
I'm stuck with Evan Ingram as my tight end. That's bad because he's hurt. Any waiver wire options that come to mind that you like better? This is
why you're here.
I posted the column with the rankings, and we talked about this for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, the show doesn't change.
No, every week it's exactly the same. The 39-33 mark. You can go back and listen to tight ends.
Yeah.
Get the full explanation.
We break them all down. Ton of them. Even scrubs.
Yeah. Chris Meaney, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. I always have a good time. You ban people for
Banning
life.
people. Tim, he cussed. I gave him the authority to ban 2 people on the Sunday show. Power goes to his head so quickly. He wants to ban every single person.
Just every question, even if it's legitimate, he doesn't like it.
He just doesn't like it.
Yeah.
That question's just an insult to me.
Lamar Jackson or McCowan. Banned for
Banned for
life.
life.
Come on.
So if you got banned for life today and you're still watching, you're not really banned for life. You can come back in the next live chat, but you were banned for the rest of this period.
Yeah.
Because banning people is fun.
It is.
Banned for life.
Yeah.
Got to ban people for life. People are more in. I feel like the chat on Thursday, that was a bit more high tempo.
It was. They were in good spirits. They wanted to be banned for life. They wanted to see people banned for life. It's a good time because you're not really banned for life. You just need a timeout for asking, a question that, is hardly answerable. You can't answer these questions. Don't ask who's going to start on week 15. We still have another week, 2 weeks to go.
Well, I mean, we have week 15 questions, start sit questions, then questions like, is Gurley going to play?
Yeah, it's.
Make preparations that if that's in the range of outcomes, make your preparations.
I mean, if you're a Gurley owner and you don't own Brown now, and you're scrambling to go maybe get him, and you're probably not going to get him, you screwed up. It's the bottom line. We've been talking about it now for a good 4 or 5 weeks.
Or more, yeah.
Handcuff these stud bell cow backs in great offenses.
Whether you,
Simple.
handcuff them even if you own
Even
the
if
other
you
guy or
don't.
not.
Yeah.
Like-
Because if Gurley goes down, you don't want to be playing Brown. And if Hunt goes down, you don't want to be playing against Spencer Ware.
Let's see. Most valuable RB handcuff. It is Spencer Ware.
Yeah, it's Spencer Ware. And then it's Brown, I think.
I think it's Gio, but that's me.
Gio.
Only because I know that role for sure.
And even Latavius, man.
Yeah, Latavius is huge too.
Latavius shouldn't be dropped in leagues. You don't like Cook. You don't trust him going to the yacht with your girlfriend.
Where can everyone find your work? Athletic?
At The Athletic, yes. Hockey NBA articles out today. And keeping things loose on fan tracks, a little football talk here and there.
And you're on with Jake on the All In podcast.
Yes, with him and Joe Pisapia 3 days a week.
Cool.
Actually, like I said, we kick Jake out on Friday. And nothing but
You
winners
take
on Friday.
over Jake's podcast?
Yeah, we take over on Fridays. It's a good time.
All right. Follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Meaney. You can follow me at ThePME, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Streaming live on Facebook, streaming live on Twitter, along with YouTube to go along with it. So if you don't like watching on YouTube, you can always download the podcast, watch on those other places, or just watch on all of them. I mean, that's what I would prefer. You get 4 times the hits, and that's fantastic news. Anyway, I'm Pat Mayo. The article and the snap shares are up right now at dkplaybook.com, or just the description of this video or podcast or whatever. It's in there. You can just go check it out. There's lists. Those are always fun. Anyway, good luck in week 13. I have shows all week. Tune into those, and I'll be live next Sunday. See you next time.